It is very hot today, and I'm so glad that you decided to spend a little smidge of your hot day with us. And hopefully things will cool off a little bit. But see, we invoke spirit, and then they all gather, and then it just gets warmer in here because the energy rises. So we're kind of stuck. Anyway. So this morning, as usual, everybody who comes to church on a regular basis and knows me or has seen me speak knows that I always like to ask Spirit what we're going to talk about when we have a lecture to do or a sermon to do. And so this time, Spirit was very adamant about the fact that we needed to talk about the base chakra, the root chakra in our bodies. And I went, really? Because doesn't everybody know that already? And Spirit said, it's never too late to revisit a subject. It never hurts to revisit things because we forget stuff. We're human beings. We forget things, and we sometimes forget how important certain things are that we have access to all the time, and we just forget about it because we're not paying attention to ourselves. We're paying attention to all the stuff that's going on around us. And so that's why I'm wearing red today, and some of you got the memo that are wearing red, the psychic memo. Thank you, Rick. Today we were going to talk about the red chakra, which is the root chakra at the base of our spine. And so we're going to revisit that. For those of you, I'm sure most of you know what the chakras are. They're the energy centers in your body, and the energy centers in your body that connect all of the physical self together, and they also connect all of the layers of your auric field together. So you have lots of layers to your auric or energetic field, and so the chakras, which line up as they go up our spine, are part of that system. And keeping those energy centers in good alignment with each other, but also in alignment in the way that they interact on their own with your own stimuli around you every day and your own health and things like that. Keeping those chakras in good shape is a great way to take care of yourself and a good way to do some healing for yourself, even if you don't feel like you're a natural healer. The body has all of these built-in systems already, because I think Creator was pretty smart, and we were designed, and Creator said, I'm going to give you some ways that you can do some of this healing stuff for yourself, and then we promptly come into the body and forget all about it. So one of the things that I was reminded of when I was talking to Spirit about that was the idea that the first chakra, the first energy center in the body, which is at the base of your spine, like I said. So if you envision the spine and you see that base of the spine right there in your tailbone, that is where your energy system begins in some ways. That's where the Kundalini energy starts. If you're familiar with Kundalini, that's the term that yogis use for the building of energy within the body. Yeah. So that base chakra is one of the places, or it is the place where that Kundalini energy sort of lies dormant until you activate it or awaken it. And then once that's done, or once you do that, then you start to have the benefits of that energy flowing through your body. So this is a picture of what some people think that the base chakra looks like. It's red. Most people perceive it as the color red. And so the color red is really significant. The colors of the chakra are really significant in that color has vibration. And remember that vibration is pretty much what controls most everything in the universe. So whatever wave or length of vibration something is on, it determines in a lot of ways what that particular thing does or how it functions. So the red chakra at the base of the spine is usually depicted this way. It's usually depicted in the picture you can see has 4 petals. So everyone, a lot of people think that the chakras look like lotus flowers. They also look like spinning wheels, okay? Some people perceive them that way. So the 4 flowers, or the 4 petals of the flower, are very interesting to me because 4 numerologically is a number that talks about foundation. It talks about the 4 corners of things. It talks about having a good foundation, something to stand on. And that's interesting because that is, in a lot of ways, what the root chakra is for and one of the functions that it has. And in the middle of this drawing, you can see there's a triangle, an upside down triangle. And that symbol symbolizes the idea of spirit connecting with matter, or the material world. So spirit all around us connecting into the material or the physical plane, which is something that we do all the time, especially as mediums, if we're going to talk to spirit, or as spiritualists, if we're going to talk to spirit. But it also grounds us into the physical plane. So that's an important part of that. Let's see if it'll stand up for me. Nope, it won't. That's okay. So that chakra has a lot to do with the way that we feel in terms of our relationship to the physical world that's around us, as well as our own physical self. It's connected to the element of earth. So earth energy is all, again, about the physical body. It's about stability, responsibility, steadiness, all of those kinds of strong sorts of words that you think of when you think of earth energy. And of course, red, the color red, is very connected to something that's really important to us as human beings and to most of the creatures on our planet that are alive, and that's our blood. So the color red is the color of blood, and that red energy, that blood that flows through us, we can't function if our blood isn't moving. If our blood isn't flowing, if our heart isn't pumping, that's when we don't function any longer as a physical being. So that red energy is that life force that we see from a physical perspective as being blood. It's also the red energy of the root chakra, sort of pumping energy through our entire being. So the red root chakra, one of the things that it's also connected to is our adrenal glands. And if you know anything about the human body, the adrenal glands produce hormones. And the adrenal glands produce the hormone that is connected to the idea of fight or flight. So if you get into a situation where you feel compromised, either physically, emotionally, whatever it is, your adrenal glands will kick in. And they'll send out a signal to your brain in the form of hormones saying, hey, do you want to fight in this situation, or do you want to run away in this situation? And that whole scenario is connected to our survival mode. That's, when we were little cave people, and when we lived in an environment where we were pretty much battling the elements physically around us all the time and had to survive by getting food and finding shelter and all of those things, that survival mode was a really important way for us to live. We don't tend to have to do that as much anymore. Of course, there are pockets of humanity that still have to do those things. And we're very blessed to be in a position where we don't have to necessarily fight or flight on a very, on a regular, schedule. But that those adrenal glands still kick in, and they still kick in for us usually in the first world in emotional situations and in spiritual situations where we feel threatened, or where we feel that somehow either our livelihood, perhaps our job or our career or our money or our finances those kinds of things if those kinds of things are threatened, because we know that those types of things, our career, our job, that's how we get our money. And we know that money is the way that we make our way in the world, and that we don't have any, then we can't buy food and we get kicked out of our apartment, and you know that story. So that's still that energy of the root chakra is still very connected to survival and the idea of how are we surviving in the world today, and how do we feel about how we're surviving in the world? Are we doing well enough? Are we doing what we could perceive to be well enough? Do we have enough? Am I safe? Is another way to look at the root chakra. Am I safe? And if you feel safe most of the time, your root chakra may not be in too bad a shape. If you worry a lot about things like finances and stability and steady resources in your life, those kinds of things can cause the root chakra to be out of whack, and it can cause it to it can be burdened with energy that it doesn't need to be. So those are some things to think about. Sometimes too, the idea of feeling stuck in life can be very connected to the root chakra. So for those of us who might feel stuck at times, like I'm not getting anywhere, like I'm not going forward, I'm not really going backward, which yay, but I'm not going forward. A lot of times giving some attention to the root chakra in a healing practice or in meditation can help you clean out that stuck energy and help you to feel like, okay, I can move forward more easily, like the flow gets better. And that's all connected to that chakra. So some other imbalances that might happen if your root chakra is not in the best shape are things like feeling disconnected from your body in general. I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like I'm just floating around and like I'm all in my head. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying when I say I'm all in my head, but that's where you're always thinking about something and you're not paying attention to the physical world around you very much. And a lot of times, for me at least, when that happens, spirit kind of makes me bump into things. Or I tend to bump into things a lot, like physical things, because I'm disconnected from my body and I'm all up here in my mental area, my mental energy. There's nothing wrong with thinking about things, but there needs to be a balance. So that's something that may happen. Things like excessive inflammation in the body can be caused by an imbalance in that chakra. Inflammation being, any kind of swelling and that type of thing that you might experience in your body. Sluggishness, like if you just feel like I'm not moving, again, I'm stuck. But this time it's more like I don't want to get off the couch. I just feel sluggish. I don't feel like I want to move. That's the time to get up off the couch and to sort of make yourself do that, because that's your body telling you, hey, you need some activity. You need to move. Things like depression and irritation can be very connected to the root chakra and blockages or problems in the balance of the root chakra. So if you suffer from depression, or if you're or if you're in a place in your life where you're easily irritated by others, there might be something going on in that root chakra that needs to be addressed. So we're going to talk about how to do that in a few minutes, but those are some things to look for. Some other things that I don't usually think about in terms of the root chakra, but I was reminded of in doing my research for today, were things like eating disorders and problems with eating. So either eating too much or not eating enough can be very connected to the root chakra as well. So sometimes when we eat too much, we throw our body into that sluggish state because of what's happening in our blood system and in sugars and all of that stuff that's actually physiologically happening in the body. But from an energy perspective, that can also trigger problems in that root chakra. So being, mindful about that is a good thing to do as well. So that red energy that we talked about, the color red, the color red is a great color to sort of tune into if you want to help your root chakra. It's also a great color to wear or to have around you if you're interested in working on your root chakra. And that's because red is a power color. It's a really powerful action color. And that's one of the things that the red energy supports, is the idea of action and passion, and moving forward, overcoming challenges. It also can be very helpful in using when you're setting priorities or when you're setting goals for yourself. My good friend Joanne Franchina, who speaks here sometimes and is another medium here at the church, is a theta healer, not theta healer. Yeah, that's right, a theta healer. And in theta healing, they have a practice where if they are going to try to manifest something into their lives, they'll actually write what they're trying to manifest on a piece of yellow paper. I'm not sure what the yellow is for, I can't remember, but they will write it in red ink. And the red ink is a way to activate the energy of that intention that they're putting on the paper. So I've actually incorporated that a lot in my own manifestation and magical work because it makes sense to me. And the idea that red stimulates, red energizes, makes a lot of sense to me. When I used to work at the psychic fairs, which are, really, really, really long days of sitting with people and listening and trying to be supportive and giving messages and connecting in and out with spirit, I would wear red often for a day at the fair because the red energy that I was wearing, that helped to support that active energy in myself, and it helped my energy level to stay higher so that I could still continue to tap in with spirit. And then I could also not completely drain myself while doing that kind of work. So wearing red or having red around you somewhere, sitting in a red chair. Hey, you're all sitting in red chairs. That type of thing can help to boost your energy. It's one of those things too, people will talk about, the colors of their walls and in their house and things. Whenever I walk into someone's bedroom and it's painted red or a deep color like burgundy, red, any of those kinds of colors, I'm astounded that they can even sleep in there. Because for me, if I did that, that would just keep me awake all night. And it's that energy build because everything is energy, and the energy of the color is vibrating in that space. And so it's heightening the energy. My bedroom is blue. And maybe that's not your greatest color, but blue tends to cool things down and tends to, relax the energy vibration rather than amplify it. So just some things to think about if you're interested in somehow managing your own energy and what kinds of things you can do to do that. If there's too little red energy in your life, you may have trouble with things like focusing and concentrating. You may have trouble with things like feeling very pessimistic, feeling very narrow-minded. And anger is an energy on the sort of negative end of the spectrum of the color red, which usually comes out. And I always remember there's a movie by, I think it's a Pixar movie, called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's about the emotions. And the little anger guy is a red guy, and he has like this red spiky hair, and when he gets mad, he's mad all the time, but when he gets mad, it just like explodes, So I always think of that little anger guy. But that's the energy of anger is in a detrimental sense on the same spectrum as the energy of passion. So you're passionate about something that you don't like is usually what anger is. You're passionate about something that you do like is usually what creative, passionate inspirational energy is. So there are always, different places on the spectrum that can be intuited as more negative or more positive. Sometimes anger is important. Talked about anger and rage in my last lecture here. And if you missed it, you can go out on our YouTube video now, our YouTube channel, and watch it. We have a YouTube channel now, y'all. Yeah, just type in USCL and you'll find it. So that positive passion is something that the root chakra can really help with. So if you're feeling like unmotivated, concentrating on the root chakra and working with it can help you feel more motivated. It can help you get back into that motivated state. So I'm done with that page. Hold on one second. If you can tell, I actually hand wrote my notes today. I usually type them, and I didn't have time yesterday to type my notes. So root chakra healing. What can we do to help ourselves in terms of keeping our root chakra in a good place? One thing that's really beneficial for that is anchoring into the environment. So especially the outdoors, okay? Especially going outside and maybe sitting and meditating on the grass, walking in your bare feet on dirt or sand or grass or in the water or something like that. That helps to anchor you into that earth energy. And that earth element that we talked about is very connected to the root chakra. So connecting and anchoring into the environment can help bring that chakra back into balance. So that's one thing you can do. Now, if you're like me and you hate being hot and you don't want to be outside right now, there are other things that you can do besides going outside and walking in the grass. Sometimes adding things into your environment will be helpful too. So if you're an indoor person, more like I am, having plants inside, having stones, rocks, all of us, come on, I know you all have stones because we're, in this church. So we all got stones everywhere. But no matter what color the stone is, having those kinds of crystal energies, because they're so connected to earth energy, can help with the activation and the balance of that root chakra. Good stones to have if you're interested in stones and you like stones, or if you have some of these at home and you want to balance your root chakra, anything that's red is going to be helpful. So things like garnet. I'm wearing garnet today. Red carnelian is another really good stone. That one's really not very expensive. I mean, you can get a little piece of carnelian for not very much. Bloodstone, red jasper, all of those are all red stones or sort of reddish orange stones that can really help to balance that chakra. And you don't need a big stone. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. You don't need a giant stone in your, in your room to balance that. You just need a little one. It doesn't have to be anything expensive. The other stones that are helpful for grounding and that earth energy are the darker colored stones like jet and onyx and hematite, black tourmaline, hematite. Those kinds of stones can also be helpful for the root chakra. So you can lay them on the chakra itself too. If you want to meditate and if you like to lay down when you're meditating, put a stone on your chakra. Why not? If you've never tried it, why not try it? You never know. And it might be very helpful. And you might start to see, hey, I feel better when I do that. So start to notice how you feel if you do some of these things. Physical activity is really good for the root chakra. Any kind of physical activity that has mostly to do with the legs and the feet. So walking, running. So in my notes, somebody said jumping. And I was like, okay. I didn't know that jumping was a sport. But although I do have a cousin who was a professional pole vaulter. Anyway, but anything that involves the lower body as the physical activity is really good for the root chakra. Some things from a more psychological and mental place are things like reinforcing your own your own ability to be self-reliant. The idea that I'm okay, just that little affirmation, I'm okay. In this moment, at this moment, I'm okay, can really help to remind you and change your energy so that that chakra's energy changes too. I'm okay. Everything's fine. All is in divine order. One of my favorite affirmations. All is in divine order. Even when I don't think it is, it still is in divine order. So reaffirming that for yourself, because that tells yourself, that reminds yourself that you are self-reliant, that you can do things, that you can do whatever needs to be done. And you don't have to rely on someone else or the other factors in your environment to get things done. Speaking of desires, being aware of what it is that you really want in your life can make a huge difference in how you change your life. So listening to those limiting thoughts of, oh, I can't do that, I'm not good enough for that, I'm too old, I'm too whatever it is to do all of those things, those are all limiting thoughts. So if you can quiet those thoughts and go back to that, I'm okay, everything is fine, all is in divine order, going back to that affirmation when you start to get into that rabbit hole of, oh my God, my life, I'm just bad. No, you're not. Everything's fine. You're fine. You're fine just the way you are. It's your mind that's playing tricks on you. Don't let it do that to you. So that mindset for personal abundance, because the root chakra is connected to our abundance and to our feelings of prosperity and fertility and all of those kinds of things, that mindset of personal abundance, it can be not just material abundance, but a shift into spiritual abundance of how many other things do I have in my life besides money, besides my personal effects. I have other resources. I have people. I have friends. I have family. I have hobbies. I have pets. I have interests that I like. You know, there's so much other stuff that we have that we don't always connect to abundance. But we really are more abundant in a lot of ways than we think we are. Because so much of the time, our mind goes back to abundance equals money. And abundance equals a lot more than just money. So, some good root chakra foods to eat. I don't like any of these mostly, but beets are really good to eat. Not a fan, but if you like beets, you can eat those. Any kind of like rooty kind of vegetable is usually really good for the root chakra. So carrots, parsnips, turnips, all of those kinds of, guys that you throw in like a really hearty autumn stew are really good for the root chakra, as is meat. And I know that some people are not meat eaters, and that's totally fine and great choice for whatever reason you make that choice. But if you are a meat eater, then meat actually can help balance the root chakra. And I liked this too, because I'm really bad about making good food choices. And so one thing I was reminded of is that if you're trying to eat better or you're trying to make better food choices, to say to yourself, I'm connected to my root chakra and it understands what it needs. So if you do that, you might be kind of shocked to find that maybe I don't want a piece of chocolate pie. Maybe I actually do want a carrot. Oh my God. Do I want a carrot? Oh my God, I want a carrot. Okay, I'll eat a carrot. So that might be something to try if that is a place where you are in your life and you want to develop better things with that. Your body does know what it needs and what it wants. We just don't always ask it. We just sometimes assume, oh, I'm hungry, so I'm just going to eat whatever's in front of me. And taking the moment to ask it what it wants can be really affirming for yourself, but also help you make better choices. Dancing is very connected to the root chakra, so all you people can get out there and dance, do your trance dancing. Trance dancing to me is very cool. And so those are some ways that you can perhaps on your own, without a lot of extra thought do some things for your root chakra that are going to help to balance it and to keep it in alignment. And we're going to do a little meditation now that's going to be concentrating on our root chakra so that we can get in there and see what's going on. And maybe it does need a little attention. So let's take a minute, and I would invite you to get comfortable in your chair so that we can close our eyes and concentrate, turn our eyes within ourselves, turn our eyes to the interior of ourselves. The reason we close our eyes when we meditate is because we're shutting out the world that's around us. That's one of the things that we're trying to do in meditation, is shut out the world that's around us so that we can explore the inner world and our inner sanctuary, our inner self, which is always with us. So it's always there for us. We can always go within. And so I would invite you to just allow yourself to breathe and just notice your breathing. You don't have to change your breathing, but bringing your attention to your breath. Breath in and breath out. And just by focusing on the breath, you're bringing your mind into focus. And the breath connects the mind to the body and to the spirit. And so breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in, feeling more relaxed. Breathing out and letting go. Letting go of what's come before this moment in time. Letting go of other thoughts, other worries. You don't need to be thinking about anything else right now. Just focus on your breath. Relaxing. Letting yourself become more peaceful, more centered. Breathing in, breathing out. Now you can move your attention away from your breath and move your attention in your body into your root chakra, into that energy center that's at the base of your spine. And remember that the energy radiates from the chakras forward, backward, all around. So that root chakra radiates energy in all directions. And so as you bring your awareness into your root chakra, take a moment and just observe. How does it feel to be in your root chakra? Does it feel calm? Does it feel agitated? Does it feel tingly? Does it feel warm or cold? Whatever you notice, just notice it. You don't need to change it. You're just observing. Maybe as you're in this root chakra, as your awareness is there, you might see some other colors. You might hear words or music or sounds. Just notice whatever it is that comes to you as you place your awareness in your root chakra. And now from that root chakra, send a beam of light from your root chakra down into the earth, down through the chair in which you're sitting, down through the floor of the building, down on all of the floors of the building, through the foundation, down into the earth, actual dirt, the soil. And allow your root chakra to connect with the earth. As you send that energy from your root chakra down into the earth, imagine that you're like a tree and that these are your roots. These roots are diving deep into the rich soil of the earth. And those roots may spread out once they've reached the earth, spread out so that they can receive that steady, strong, nurturing earth energy. So breathe that earth energy up through those roots. Breathe it up through that energy thread that you've sent down into the earth. Breathe that energy up into your root chakra. And as you breathe that energy into your root chakra, that steady, strong earth energy swirls around in that red chakra space. And it begins to clean out any energy that's there that is not necessary, any energy that is burdening your center. And as it cleans that energy out, all the things that are unnecessary flow down through that thread of light, down into the roots that you've put into Mother Earth. They flow down into those roots and out of those roots and into Mother Earth, so that they can be transmuted into light and positive energy. And as you bring your attention back up to your root chakra, notice how that feels in your awareness now. That feeling more balanced, more centered, more peaceful. And you can carry this steady, strong, reliable root energy with you as you go about the rest of your day, feeling connected and grounded, centered, balanced, feeling good about who you are. So now, let yourself begin to come back to the physical world. Begin to come back to this space and this time. Begin to feel that chair underneath you again, that ground beneath your feet. as you pull yourself fully back into your physical self. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes wide awake and relaxed and peaceful.